Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live. Sorry we're late. Luke was running a bit behind, but we're here. We're ready to go. So yes, I'm excited to be here with you guys today. We can talk about everything chapter 2, all of the good stuff. So yeah, if you have any questions, throw them in the YouTube live chat. And yeah, let's keep it farmer friendly. You can also throw them in the live chat over on Twitter, but not the comment section, the live chat directly, not the comments. Okay. And yeah, we'll pull them up as we see fit. So yeah, we'll go through some stuff. This is kind of like a regular AMA. We'll go through some stuff and then we'll pull up your questions. So make sure that you are posting them as they come up. All right, let's bring up Luke.
Wow, way to throw me under the bus.
I'm not getting blamed for this.
No, I'm just kidding.
Wait.
Yeah, no, excited to chat today. Heidi was here. I was late. Yeah, it's been a really busy week the last couple of weeks of Pixels. Yeah, I guess what I want to fill you guys in are the things we've been working on. I know it's been a little slower from the front side of things, basically. Like, you guys haven't seen a major update in a couple of weeks, but I can kind of explain to you guys what we're working on, what we're kind of seeing inside of the game right now, and where we're going to. So I think that'll be kind of the focus of today's AMA. And we might even try a little bit of a different thing. Like, I have this like basically virtual whiteboard that I might bring out today. So
not tested at all. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. We probably should have tested that first before I bring it out, but I feel like it's going to work. I'm optimistic. So yeah, I think there's two main areas of focus of Pixels right now. So there's the short-term game balance that we're trying to figure out. Essentially, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the game feels good, plays good, and it's hitting the goals and objectives that we want it to be hitting. So when we talk about the objectives that we want Pixels to be hitting, there's 2 or 3 things that we're looking at. There's the top line, there's revenue. That's the biggest thing for us. We're really focused on what we call fundamentals of Web3 gaming. Right now is the time period inside of Web3 gaming where there's other things that are coming out, they're getting some hype. And we're not really chasing the hype right now. If you've followed Pixels for a little bit, you know that we know how to chase the hype, and we will do that when we feel ready. Right now, what we're really focused on is making sure that we have the baseline for the next stage of what we're trying to do at Pixels. And the next stage of what we're trying to do at Pixels is we're trying to grow in a very sustainable way. So that means building something real that people want to be using, that people are spending money in, that is, makes sense economically. And it's not so easy to do that inside of Web3 gaming. There's really not many Web3 games that have been out for a long time. Pixels is one of the longest running Web3 games with a live token at this point that still has users. And we've learned a ton over the last 2 years of having a token out. I think Barry is almost 2 years old at this point, maybe like 1.5 years to like 1 year and 9 months, which is kind of crazy because that changed everything when we released Barry. You don't really know how a Web3 game is going to work until you actually are out in the arena and you have a live Web3 currency. And I'm excited for all these other games to come out, but I just want to also warn other founders in the space too. You're opening a big can of worms when you get a token out. So there's a lot that comes with that, to actually figuring out how to best distribute the token, how to make all of the economics work, and all of this kind of stuff to you here. I think you can do it in the settings, actually, like on StreamYard. Here we go. I just increased it 40%. So now if your ears are bleeding, I apologize.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay, sweet. So with that, there's a couple of problems that we're trying to tackle and we're making progress on, and we're moving forward on now too. So one is general game balance. We're basically doing an entire rework of our game balance. So if I want to prioritize and kind of go into some of the stuff we're going into, I want to try this whiteboard thing. I'm going to pull it up. Let's see if this works. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if it actually works now. I'm obsessed with this thing. I've been writing so many notes last week.
I'm curious with how live it is.
Yeah, I mean, I have like a little pencil here. So yeah, step 1, we're working on. Okay, yeah, see, that works. My handwriting is going to be the other issue here. But we're working on taskboard difficulty. So right now, a lot of the task difficulty inside of the game is very out of balance, especially for tier 3 and tier 4 resources. It's a big issue. The game doesn't feel right now because of that. And it's also leading to some weird gameplay too. So one thing that we're going to be working on is a large change to our approach here. That's one thing that we haven't done yet. So the first 2 weeks of chapter 2, what you saw was basically us doing live ops updates to basically doing small tweaks and adjustments to the taskboard difficulty. There's some things we finally got right about it after a week or two, right? When you guys first saw the taskboard changes, you really didn't like the changes in chapter 2 initially because they felt wrong and they were wrong. And what we did was we got a new approach to how we did progression inside of the task board. And now some of the things that we set out to achieve in chapter 2 with basically more progressed players or higher level players earning more pixel, that's all working now. Now, what's not working is some of the economics of the game around tier 3 and tier 4 resources with the way that we intended. So that's the next thing that we've been starting to focus on. And this requires a bit different of an approach than what we were doing previously. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to basically be doing a whole task board balance redesign. We kind of have to do it ground up, which is annoying. So the goal here is we want to basically tweak how we do energy, time, and coin cost in the task board and change the progression that way. So the end goal and the end outcome for all of you guys is like as simply put as it can be, the task board should feel better and more fair, and it should feel like the tier 3 and the tier 4 are worth more. So there's a couple of things that we're going to be doing there. One of the things we've gotten a lot better at is the data side of things, and that's what we're working on. So we have better economic data coming in. We have an idea of basically all the stock of items. And we're going to start basically changing the task board to respect the marketplace a little bit more. So right now, the task board is completely balanced on energy. What we're going to start to shift is actually having the task board balance on the actuals of the game economy. So essentially making sure that if there are resources in the tier 3 and the tier 4 that are very, very cheap to acquire, because maybe the balance of creating those resources was a little bit off, or there's like a ton of resources from chapter 2 that got migrated in chapter 1. We're going to start to change the task board to make that make a bit more sense. Issue 2 that we're seeing, early game coin crunch. Yeah, so right now it feels really, really hard to get coins as an early player inside of the game, and that's not great. It hurts the first time user experience a lot. It hurts the more casual player experience a lot. So there's a couple things we want to be doing here. We did one thing over the last week, which should help. So approach 1 was we increased your daily coin reward inside of the game. And maybe we should show people where this is, because I don't think everybody's aware. Maybe, Heidi, do you want to pull this up? We increased daily coin rewards.
What do you want me to pull up exactly?
The reward dashboard, because I literally think not everybody knows about it, which is kind of funny. From 100 to 300.
On it. We should just do it live.
Yeah, let's just do it live.
Let's do that.
And now what we're going to start to do too is we're going to start to introduce more rewards like that for the early users. So there's a couple of things we can do in the early game that make it so that it's easier to get coins without complete task board adjustments. So one thing like that is login streak rewards. One thing like that is like more tasks to do that are maybe even not like task board related. We want to make it easier for people inside of the game to get coins earlier on so you can actually play the game, get energy, and do all this kind of stuff. So there were some easy wins there. Have you still not claimed your?
No. I haven't done a lot on here. But yeah, so this is the dashboard if you guys haven't seen it. So there is a daily login badge you can see. You'll see your featured rewards up here, all of your rewards. So daily login. There you go.
Nice. So what we'll start to do is we're going to start to add more here. There's a couple of different ways that we can give you guys coin and pixel, right? So this is one of the other interesting systems that we built out that we'll start to take advantage of more. So expect to do things like daily login streaks where the coins that you get start to increase, and all of that too. So then there's maybe some other stuff that we'll start to do too when it comes to the approach. For this, I think the other thing that we want to start to experiment with is to login streaks. We want to do things like increase the soils and coins that new people start with. We want to make it so that you can get through the initial game loops a bit more. And then for the fourth approach, yeah, we're going to start to add more coin rewards for level ups and basically exploring other things you need to level up to. So yeah, there's two things really. There's like the long-time player experience that we're going to start to optimize. A lot more of you are getting to the tier 3 and the tier 4 resources. So that needs to get balanced ASAP. That's priority number 1. Taskboard difficulty, tier 3 and tier 4. We want to make sure that Taskboard is balanced for tier 3 and tier 4 better. And we're going to be doing some cool stuff there. So those are the things that the team is focused on right now. And then the next two things that we're focused on after that, once we solve these two issues, are stuff around the coin OTC loop, which has been really interesting. So some of the emergent behavior that we've seen you guys do inside of the game is around coin OTC. So a lot of you guys are playing the game where you're buying coins with Pixel, which is kind of cool, from basically third-party people inside of the ecosystem. And, you know, we don't hate that people are doing that, right? Like, I think that's a cool way to play the game because it makes coin and that whole loop interesting, right? Like, if you earn coins and you're not really earning much Pixel, like if you want to leave the game, you can go and do something with your coins still, right? However, this is a pretty interesting thing where, you know, we actually might be able to add some more Pixel utility and maybe capture some more of that into the Pixel ecosystem than maybe these third-party traders, right? So we're going to start to re-implement better pricing of coins into the game. So we just basically want to make it enticing enough where if you guys want to buy coins from us, it makes more sense to do that from a coin OTC trader. But there's a few things we need to think about before we do this. We're being a little cautious with this too. So one thing that we do coin OTC, where we make the pixel price of coins a bit more favorable to users, is we don't want to increase coin inflation too much. Because if we sell too many coins, right, it's going to ruin the coin market, the task board. It's going to make it even harder for new players to come into the game. So yeah, we're doing that here. So basically that's the next part that the team is investigating. Like, what are the actual impacts on selling more coins for Pixel inside of our game? Can we start to capture some more of that from maybe the bad actors inside of the ecosystem? Because there's a bot market that exists with coin OTC, and that's the kind of coin OTC that we don't like. We don't like cheaters getting Pixel. We like real players getting Pixel. So we're going to start to close that loop a little bit and probably capture more Pixel revenue that way too, which is good for the ecosystem. And look into that. So coin OTC is the next thing I'll be focused on after that. And then issue 4 that we're seeing in the next part of the game balance is around, what is it? More of like the game balance monitoring too. So what we want when we think about coin OTC markets is essentially want to give Pixel's official And we also want to do this with energy too. So if you look into the Pixel stores right now, there are 2 areas that make no sense. It's when you go to buy coins with Pixel, it just is not priced appropriately at all. Same thing with energy drinks too. So these are 2 things that we're going to start to shift into the Pixel token. And it should actually be pretty interesting when it does the monetization. But yeah, we're pretty optimistic about that. There's a pretty strong coin OTC market right now. If we start to capture more of that into the Pixel token rather than having bots capture that, 1, it should decrease incentive to bot inside of the ecosystem. And 2, it's more ecosystem revenue too. One cool thing over the last little bit is we've seen here, I'm going to share this also. I'm going to share this tab. we've seen our revenue increase over the last week. Last week there was about like 5 million pixels spent in the last 30 days. It's increased to 7.6 million spent. There's been a lot of new VIP purchases. I think basically if you look back 3 months ago, we had a big user surge in March and April. And I think a lot of you are renewing your VIP, which is great. So we're going to look into more ways that you guys can also still continue to increase VIP usage, all this kind of stuff. But yeah, you can see this has been increasing over the last 30 days. If I show this line, yeah, pixel spend is up and up since chapter 2, basically. So we're looking at that more. So besides all of that, what are we working on at Pixel? So the short term, we're focused on game balance. We're focused on making the game experience better for you guys. We're focused on adding like a few new things that might use the Pixel token. But there's also some other really cool stuff that we've been focused on besides that stuff that I just mentioned at Pixels. So one of the things that we're thinking about now is also how do we change the way that we give Pixel to our users? One of the best changes I think that we made in chapter 2 is this new progression system to get new Pixel inside of the game, but it's not perfect. So some of you really, really like it. You can see some people are making like 1,000 pixel a day. Like the top like 10 players are making so much pixel a day. And that was exactly what we wanted to happen inside of chapter 2. But yeah, now what we want to do is we want to kind of segment the earnings a bit better too. So one of the next interesting things that we're working on is we're going to change the way that we distribute Pixel a little bit from where it is now. The thing that we're going to change is we're going to change the task board to be a little bit more predictive. So here, I'm going to go back to this window, and I can kind of explain to you what we're doing here. So this is a bigger initiative that we're working on. I'm going to call it Taskboard V2. Yeah, ignore my handwriting. It's fine.
It's the board, right? It's not you. It's the board.
Well, I'm holding it like this, okay? It's the board. So we're working on Taskboard V2. And what V2 is going to change is it's going to change a lot of the ways that we distribute Pixel. So right now we give Pixel strictly kind of by level progression. So the more that you level up, the more Pixel you get. Which works all right. But there's more that we can be doing here. We can be a lot smarter with this. In the future, when I say future, we're trying to get the first version of this out in maybe like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. There's some like very easy small wins that we can do to get the first stages of this. Is we want to know a little bit more about you. And it's going to kind of be tied in with the new reputation system, though they're going to be slightly separate. They're very, very related. What we want to do is we want to give more Pixel to people who use it more. And it's very simple, that statement, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into this too. So there's a couple things that we need to actually make this work. One, we need more ways to use the Pixel token, and that's going to be a lot of the game balance stuff that we're doing. So once we start to add in more ways to use the Pixel token by like buying coins, other things like this, we'll have some better data. But we already have enough data to basically get some best guesses here too. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to do better targeting with our rewards. So right now you might think, hey, I'm a really good player. I'm not leveled up as much as some other people, but like, I feel like I should be getting Pixel. Like I'm the kind of user that Pixels really wants, right? Like I'm a wholesome player. I decorate my farm. I log in every day and I'm not getting the Pixel that I deserve, right? Well, that's the kind of user that we're actually a lot more interested in retaining as well. So there's different types of users that we care about inside of Pixels, right? And I will say, somebody just posted this comment. How about we give more Pixel to people who don't sell it? Easy fix. That's kind of the stuff that we're going to start looking at now when we think about pixel token distribution. So what kind of data do we have? Pixels is in a really fortunate spot because we have three things that basically no other Web3 company or gaming company really has. We have a very interesting data set, we have a lot of active users, and we have a very fast team. So what are we trying to do now? What we're trying to do is we're trying to basically get insights from this data that we have to do better pixel token distribution. So some of the data that we have, we have first party game data, which basically means we know how you play. Do you decorate a farm? Do you chat? Do you use the marketplace a lot? And none of this is like personally identifiable. It's like aggregate data basically. But we have like data on these users on like all the actions they do inside of the game. And what we can start to do is we can start to label these users by player type and player persona. So like, for example, if we wanted to start labeling you, you might be a social player. You might be a grinder. You might be a bot. Like you might be all these different things. The first party game data helps us determine some of this stuff. We also know some of the blockchain data that you have. And this is going to be one of the changes that we start to make to the reputation system that we have, which should be a little bit more resilient. So we know things like the NFTs that you own, other Web3 games you might have played. Like, for example, if you own a lot of Axies. And then there's some other cool stuff that we can dig into as well. We also know your deposit and withdrawal tendencies. Now, I will say we are still a firm believer in play to earn. I don't think that you withdrawing pixel tokens is a bad thing. But what I will say is an account that only withdraws pixel tokens, very often is probably more easy to identify as a bot, or potentially an account that earns tokens or earns coins and then funnels them to a particular user that's more likely to be identified as a bot or a user that maybe is not so healthy to the ecosystem. But I will say, if you are somebody that withdraws tokens, but you are like a really social player or you're a grinder and you're very active and loyal, you're probably still somebody that we want inside of the ecosystem. So what we still are going to be looking at, though, is we're going to be looking at net deposits and withdrawals. We have all this data to see who are the players who have basically kept tokens inside of the ecosystem, or even like bought tokens and then put them inside of the ecosystem and kept them there, and who are people that basically only withdraw and only kind of like take out of the ecosystem too. Again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but when we think about the user personas with the other stuff, that's when we start to build a picture of who we should be giving pixel out to. So net withdrawals, something that we're going to start looking at. And we have all of that data over the last 2 years of historical data, right? So we can get a better idea of like who in this player labeling. So is a grinder who withdraws tokens? Are they interesting to that? What other data can we look at? We can look at trades. So one interesting thing that we talked about today is like there's some bot identification or like bad actor identification that we can start to do in trading, right? Like a user who is trading with like thousands of people and only getting pixel inside of their account, they're probably a bad actor. But there's another interesting use case that we can actually look at. There's a use case of a user who maybe is getting pixel or not pixel coins traded to them inside of the game. But they only do it with like 1 or 2 users. Those are probably the people buying coins OTC. What I will say is people who are buying coins OTC right now, you guys are spenders inside of the game. Like you guys are actually people that we're probably gonna be trying to target for pixel rewards. But basically what I'm saying is we're gonna be looking at a bunch of new stuff. Like this is data that's very unique to the Pixels ecosystem that only we have, that we have years of historical data for, that we can start to build insights on to basically give out Pixel to the best people inside of the ecosystem. And that's our next goal. So we're going to start to roll out some new stuff to the task board. It'll probably be 2 to 3 weeks, but basically next steps are...
Sorry, just before we move forward, I'm just seeing some people talking in chat like you can't just label people. You can't just say that people are doing one thing and it's negative or good or bad. It's not. It's not. This is all like player behavior, right? Like how would I identify my style of gameplay and how I like to play? I'm a mixture of a grinder, but only sometimes. And then I'm also a social player, but only sometimes. So kind of like I'm a bit of each, right? So then how would I perceive the game, and like how can the game best suit me as a player?
So, yeah,
and
here's what we want. What we want is we want a mixture of different types of players. So if we only gave out Pixel to the top players, we would have no other players. That's where we're getting weak right now, I think, actually. So I think one thing that we're doing is we're giving out a lot of Pixel to the top players, and we're going to keep that. That's what we want. But now what we need to figure out is how we give out more Pixel to more of the players who aren't necessarily the top players, but still provide ecosystem value. So one thing that's really valuable for the ecosystem is a very loyal player who plays every day and who is still inside of the ecosystem and is like coming in and showing up basically. So a lot of what we're going to start to work on is who are the right types of people to give tokens to, and what are the right ratios.
Yeah, guys, all of this stuff too, some of you guys being a little dramatic, I'm not going to lie. We're not just like labeling you. This isn't public information. This is just data analysis.
Yeah. When I say like labeling you, you're not getting a personal label.
No,
like this is like more
segmentation.
So yeah, if I can explain this better, this is like we're doing something called user segmentation. So what we're trying to figure out are who are the best users to give out tokens to. And I'm explaining this to you guys because this is setting a bigger vision for what Pixels is doing. And this is kind of explaining to you the moat of why we think that we have the best chance of making play to earn work and be sustainable versus maybe other people in the space, right? We have experience, we have a team, we have like a unique data set that's going to get us to the best next step of making play to earn work, right? So what we're not trying to do is we're not trying to build a game or an ecosystem that fizzles out and has the same problems that maybe people before us had, right? So this is one of the things you need to figure out when you think about like sustainable economics, right? What we need to start to do, and our key goal for the next 6 months, this might take like 12 months, is we want to basically have people spending more Pixel inside of the game than we give out. And really, this is like 80% a bot issue. So a lot of it is doing this identification to filter out bots. What we don't want to do is we don't want to basically make it so that we give out no Pixel to our real users, because again, our whole thesis here is we think play to earn can work. And we think that players who are playing and showing up every day are very valuable to the ecosystem. And you guys are actually the people that we want to give Pixel out to a lot more now. So because if we didn't have a large player base, there would be nobody spending Pixel inside of the game. So we're not necessarily, when we talk about prediction and doing all of this kind of stuff, we're not trying to filter for only people who are going to spend, because that would actually lead to no users inside of the ecosystem. What we're trying to filter for are good users. And good users to us are the wholesome ones, the ones who make the game experience better, who show up to events, who like are basically doing all the fun stuff inside of the game. The bad users are the ones who create 1,000 scripts. They do pretty predictable stuff, and then they withdraw the tokens immediately. And this is the kind of machine learning AI stuff that we're doing to filter it out. So the end goal and outcome here is give more pixel to our most loyal users. And now we're redefining what loyal means. It's not just a leveled up account. Because you can be playing the game in a different way besides grinding and still be very valuable to the ecosystem. So that's what we're trying to tell you guys and like explain to you, and why I'm like kind of comfortable coming on this AMA and telling you guys about the plan that we have for this kind of stuff. So we want to give out more pixels to our most loyal users, and a loyal user, it could be grinding. The people who are really high level right now, but it also could be showing up to events. Could be being nice. It could be holding tokens more. Could be well-decorated farms. Could be a loyal guild member. There's so much stuff here. And this is the kind of stuff that we're starting to dig into. And this is where Web3 gets really, really, really cool. Also could be, you know, other Web3 game player. This is going to be a really big change. But what we want it to feel like is when we start to implement this stuff, we want you guys to feel like it worked and it's even better than before. So if we're not achieving that, it might take us a little bit of time. But if you're a player who actually likes the game, like end goal or objective here with these changes is that you should be earning more pixel too. Like this is basically a way for us to kind of filter out the people who don't care about the ecosystem. That is important to us. Like if you're here playing pixels purely to extract, you don't like the game, you're not having fun, then yeah, we're probably going to make it a little bit harder for you to earn. But if you're doing stuff where you like the game, you play other Web3 games, you know, you're enjoying all of this kind of stuff, then you should be earning more. So essentially what we're going from is like, we're making our token distribution a bit more complicated. And we're making it hopefully feel better for most of the users who are dedicated inside of this ecosystem. So somebody just posted here. So we punish if we're just holding pixel? No. No, that's actually probably something that we'll start to reward. That's kind of the idea. Like there's going to be stuff that we do here where we're very explicit about it. Like one thing that we haven't done yet is we haven't introduced staking, but we like staking more and more lately, to be honest. We like staking that integrates into the game loops and like integrates into earnings. So some of the stuff here that you're going to see, there's going to be two approaches. There's going to be changes to the task board, but there's also going to be new systems that we likely introduce over the next 2 months or 3 months. So one thing that we don't love about the task board is it doesn't feel so like engaging sometimes. And then sometimes the way that you guys interact with the task board, I'm like, this is a little interesting. Not sure if I want to dig into that. Well, maybe one thing that we might do, let me know how you guys think about this. I like the idea of having 2 task boards, one normal task board, one that you guys are interacting with like normal, and then maybe one dgen task board. What we started introducing into the task board, which it seems like you guys like, are the chase tasks, like tasks that are like 40 or 100 pixel. You know, there's only a few of them that go out every single day, but it seems like you guys kind of like those. There might be an interesting opportunity for us to do a new task board that like emphasizes that even more. Yeah, if you think that's a good idea, let us know. But yeah, with this kind of stuff too, we'll also probably be explicit about new systems too. So there's going to be new systems besides just the task board. And this is like the 2 to 3 month plan.
Can you hear the lawnmower that just turned on?
Behind you?
No,
No.
we're great. Yeah, it's very loud to me. So yes, behind me.
I think one thing that we just talked about today, which is interesting, is a quest board. We should do more generative quests, I think we decided. So essentially like one or two things that you might do in a given day that are a bit more engaging than the task board. And this is a new system that we might be able to introduce that feels a bit better, and we can start to do some of the pixel stuff too. There might be like random events or like new systems, like a notification or a pop-up that we give you every day too, that are just like a bit more clear. So that's one thing that mobile games do really well. They do really good targeted notification systems, and we're still missing that kind of stuff. But basically, if you like pixels, if you're here every day showing up, I wouldn't worry so much, because you're the kind of person that we want to be giving more pixel to. And this is the system that we're working on. So yeah, I will say some of the stuff that we're going to start to look at too are going to be more explicit, like staking. So I call that like a more explicit system. So staking, and how we do this is like most likely our staking system will probably work kind of similarly to VIP, where if you stake more, you'll probably get some more earnings. That's still TBD on how exactly we do that. And there's probably some other cool stuff that we can do in addition as well. So we'll get back to you on what exactly it looks like. We've been anti-staking for a while. I like the idea in this framing more so. And it doesn't even necessarily need to look like staking. Like, honestly, putting your pixel into the game already operates a lot like staking. So there's some stuff that we'll probably think about there. And then, oh, one thing that we haven't even touched into is, besides all of this kind of stuff, the next other parallel focus of Pixels that we have going on too is new ways to earn with live ops. So that's like the last thing I want to touch on. And then, yeah, we didn't have much time for questions today. Maybe we'll stay on a few minutes after, because this is a lot of info that I'm just dumping on all of you guys, and it's going to be hard to get insights and stuff on. But I wanted to go through this stuff in the AMA today because I want to show you guys like the interesting stuff that we're working on that we think that we have a very strong competitive advantage on, that kind of separates us from maybe other people in the space right now and shows you the longer term vision of what we're doing here. And then this is also combined with like even more things that we're doing around like acquisitions, and we'll probably start kicking off other game stuff. It uses all of this tech here. To us, this is the core technology of Web3 gaming. It's the incentive design problem. We're not as bullish on fully on-chain gaming if you know us from our perspective. We think that Web3 is more of an issue of figuring out incentive design and giving out the right incentives to the right people at the right time that lead to the right outcomes. And there's so much there to dig into. But yeah, so the last thing that we're focused on now too, and I think this one we're trying to get out, it'll probably be like 2 to 4 weeks again on this one too. If I'm being conservative, I would probably say 4 weeks is when something like this will go live, is we want to do more live ops. We are changing our approach to live ops. So if you don't know what live ops means, that just means more events. But
I love it.
the difference with more events is we want to start to use events as new opportunities to earn pixel. I think it's going to be easier to explain to you guys what we're thinking here if I just kind of give you an example of the type of event that we're thinking. So for the type of event that we're thinking, sorry, that's my doorbell.
I was gonna say I didn't think people still had that ringtone, but I guess doorbell. Never heard
Yes,
that as doorbell.
the type of events that we're thinking about right now are essentially guild competitions. That'll most likely be the first event that we do. And they'll be really exciting when we do that. So essentially what we'll do is we'll have a guild competition. And the prize will be a big pool of pixel. It'll probably be, it might be something like 1 to 5 million pixel. Like I want it to be massive. And essentially there will be guild leaderboards. And the guild will essentially be competing for the prize pool. There's a few things that we'll have to work out to make sure that it feels fair for the guilds. Like we want to make it so that guilds feel like they'll be able to compete with each other for it, right? Now there might be a balance because, you know, if there is a 400-person guild, they probably should have an advantage over a 4-person guild. But there might be some things that we can do to figure out that balance too. So this is exactly what we're designing now. We want to go live with this probably in 4 weeks. But this will introduce some very interesting new economic gameplay when we start to have this. So this will be the first test of our next set of features that we're thinking about. And I think the route that we're still thinking about going down is contestable lands. I will say we have somebody new coming on who's going to start to own contestable lands and decide what we go in that direction. We'll announce that person in like a couple of weeks. But yeah, we just got like a crazy new hire. I'm super excited about them. Yeah, you guys will be stoked when we hear what they worked on and what like kind of plans they might have for this kind of stuff. But yeah, guild competitions will be like the next basically way to earn pixel, and we'll start to do more consistent live ops. We just brought on somebody who's kind of helping us reshape our live ops strategy, and it's a lot different than what we did before. So with live ops, how our approach was before, if you did an event with us, is it basically created like separate game loops. They were kind of completely separate from the game and not integrated with anything. Like these guild competitions will be very integrated into energy and other systems like that too. It'll kind of feel like play to airdrop if you want to participate in something like that again. So it'll be completely optional. It'll be on the side. It'll be a new way to start to integrate with guild gameplay. There'll be a huge prize pool. And our goal is that it's a net sync. So say that 5 guilds compete for, you know, the 5 million pixel prize, and they spend like, you know, 2 million each trying to get that prize. That's a net sync of 5 million pixel tokens, right? So we're not sure if it's going to completely work out like that, but that's kind of the thinking with these things, where new way to earn, but you got to win. And finally, we're going to start to introduce some competition into the game that hasn't existed inside of Pixels before. So there's going to be some fun stuff there. If we do a contest like this, it won't run long. You know, we might split it up in like several rounds of the contest. So maybe the prize pool will be like 1 million for one weekend, 1 million for the next weekend, 1 million for the next weekend. But they'll be kind of operating like how you guys see a lot of games right now. Like Fortnite has amazing live ops and some other stuff like that too. So that's kind of the high level. And I know this is like a less question oriented AMA, and I'm sure there's gonna be a ton of stuff too. So I think maybe now what's best is if we take some questions, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions that you guys might have and some concerns. Sound like Heidi was going through some stuff.
All good. We addressed it. We're good. Someone was just commenting in Discord that like you writing out things kind of slows you down. I was like, that's a good thing. Anyways, okay, if you have any questions, yeah, you can throw them in the live chat. I've pulled over some. What was really great with this today actually was it was mostly discussion based. There weren't a lot of like questions that weren't actively being discussed and all of that. So that was cool. So yeah, just some like regular questions like when carnival, when pets, when this, when that. So I will say we're working on all of these things. We don't have like a direct date for any of these things quite yet because we kind of went all hands on deck on the task board front. We wanted to make sure that the design of that and whatnot was working well. It's in a pretty good state, but as Luke said, we're still doing further like changes in implementation and whatnot. So it really comes down to prioritization of like what we're working on and where we're spending our time and capacity. So I don't have an exact date for any of those things quite yet, but they all are in the works and hopefully coming soon. Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of good questions, honestly. Here, I'm starring some, and we'll go through some of them too. I'm down to stay like 10 minutes after too,
Yeah,
and go through some of this.
I can do that. Wait, hold on. Let me check my
Um,
calendar. Yes, I can do that.
yeah, I can do it too. Okay, sweet. Oh, one other thing too is I think we finally got handed off some ad creatives. I think we're gonna run a small experiment on like farmland ads this week. Quinn, if you guys know Quinn, he did some of the legwork there and finally handed some stuff off. So I think we can run some stuff this week to see how that goes too. Yeah, the other part of all of this that we're interested in and we're kind of talking to people about, but that's moving a bit slower than I wanted to, was ad placements. That's another way that we can start generating revenue for the Pixel ecosystem also. There's spots inside of the game that get millions of impressions. So yeah, there's some cool stuff there. Okay, cool. Here I'm seeing. Heidi, Luke, I want to ask if they say, let's say I'm a leveled up player and earn Pixel a ton daily, and I want to withdraw them weekly. Will that hurt my reputation? So again, we don't think that you playing to play to earn is bad, and that's not the kind of behavior that we're trying to discourage. What I'll say is, what we're trying to figure out basically is what are the right ratios of people who play in certain play styles that we want to incentivize, right? So we think that like the wholesome player that's spending a lot of time as like a good community participant, like we want to start to target them more for rewards also. So the withdrawals won't necessarily hurt you. If you're like a new account and then you only farm and then you're only withdrawing, then that's easier to label that as a bot account, right? That's easier to label that as somebody that's maybe not somebody that we want in our ecosystem, because how much value is that person providing, right? Like that's pure extraction. Now, somebody that's coming in, like coming to events, hanging out, like being a good player, hanging out in Discord, and then they withdraw, like you're a good player. Like we give you the tokens so that you can do what you want with them, right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing to withdraw, right? Like I don't want to punish people for that, and I don't want you to feel like you can't do that, because we're a play to earn game, and there is a reason we're a play to earn game. We think it's an amazing growth way hack. We think it's like the most. We think it's the way that like most games are going to be in the future too. So there's a bit of balance that we're thinking about here. So I wouldn't worry too much about it that way. Just know that we are trying to reward people who feel like they're not getting enough now, but are showing up every day. So we kind of fixed it with the high level players, but there's more to being a good Pixels player than just being a high level player, right? It feels like top players are getting it all because FTP not getting any. And that's exactly what I'm trying to get at, right? Like we're trying to basically target rewards better to more types of users than just players who are further progressed through the game, right? And yeah, same thing like that. People are different. You shouldn't reward people for being more social because they like to decorate. This is a play to earn game. People should play how they want and not be labeled. So play how you want. I will say like the reward structures are going to be, they're initially going to be segmented. So they're not going to be personalized. So basically we're going to go out, we're like getting some insights and data. There's like 3 or 4 variables that we'll be looking at that we're going to start to change the taskboard pools. We'd given an AMA before, and I'm not sure how many of you were there, like our new taskboard pool system. We talked about that a lot, how we can basically give out new pools to different players in the taskboard, and we haven't done that too much yet. That's what we're going to start to move towards soon. So right now there's 3 pools in the taskboard. There's free to play, there's VIP, and there's a landowner pool. What we're going to start to do now is we're going to start to add a lot more pools into the taskboard. So different player types and personas are going to start to get more earnings too, besides just all these things. And it's also going to be compiled with like landowner and VIP too. So yeah, that's a little bit of a change in strategy. Is it possible to add a mini game in the future? Like imagine we put our pets to compete in a race so people can bet on which pet will win, like horse races. I will say we've talked about this. Yeah, so one thing that we're going to be doing is acquisitions of new games. So there's some areas where our game play and game design has not been moving as fast as I have wanted it to. And we're actually in a very fortunate position with having the token out where the foundation is actually potentially able to go out and acquire new games that can help advance the pixel experience. So there's a couple conversations that we're already having now with that. I can't announce anything what we're doing there, but I will say our acquisition targets are things like this, or things that can maybe complement what we haven't been able to build in the ways that we would want inside of pixels. Like, for example, maybe a dungeon style game that might fit into the ecosystem well is something that we've been looking at, or some other areas too. The other thing that we're missing right now that we need to move on is I would really want to get a game distributed on Telegram. So we're looking at stuff there. I like kind of narrow team focus in certain areas. But yes, I love the idea of mini games. Getting more stuff integrated into the core game loop is great. Web3 is interesting because there might be ways that we can get interoperability or like tight ecosystem integration without core game loop integration. Like, for example, if we were to do a game acquisition and we make them implement their login, and then we give you rewards based on performance inside of that game, or you might use like some energy items from our game in that game. Like if, for example, you had to use like wines or like energy items in our game or in their game, and it like ties them to Pixel's economy. There's some cool stuff there. How about putting a fee on withdrawing pixels? Yeah, we have the tech to do that. We might introduce that soon. That one, I'm like, withdrawal fees are like, it's a good way to sink or burn some pixel, especially if we're not identifying some of the bot activity when we give them pixel. The real solution should be like, we should give you less pixel, or we should just not give bots pixel, right? So that's why we haven't done the withdrawal fee. It also, the withdrawal fee might discourage deposits. That's the other reason that we haven't done that either. So yeah, we might want to experiment with that. Like, it might be smart to do a 1% fee to see the effect on deposits. But our approach has been maybe like solve the root issue instead, or at least try to.
There was a fee before. What was it? 6% or something?
Yeah, on Berry. And Berry was an easier one to do that with. It might make sense to do that now, though. Okay, sweet. Why not implement the OTC trading inside the game, which people spend pixel to trade, so they burn pixel? That's safer for the buyer and moves the market. Can use reputation too. Yeah, so I think this is where we're moving. We're going to start to make the coin price make more sense inside of pixels. We're just trying to be a little bit careful so that we don't create the wrong loop. And we don't basically like ruin some of the early gameplay too, because what it can lead to is coin inflation if we do it wrong. And then it makes the early game impossible if there's too much coin inflation, right? Like, you guys are already saying there's a coin pinch early inside of the game. And if there's coin inflation, it's going to make that a harder thing to deal with. So we want to get the new game balance out first before we introduce coin purchasing inside of the game. And then we want to make sure that we do it right. There's another interesting thing that we might be able to do too. Like, I don't hate the idea of also doing coin selling inside of the game, where we give you pixel for coin selling. If we did that, we'd have to be pretty careful. Like, we might have the prices of buy and sell be very different. Like, it already is in coin OTC markets on pixels.tips. We might make that dynamic. So it's like, we might only do a buyback of like so many a day. And then just increase price every single time we do a buyback. There's some stuff that we might be able to do there, which is interesting. First thing will be making it so that the coin purchase is more appropriate. The other thing that we were debating too is there's like a balance. Like, instead of coins, we could go and do energy instead. So the game economics side of things, or the game team, is focused on basically the initial balance. It's going to be a rework of energy, coin, and all the pixel taskboard tasks. Then we can start to do this stuff.
Okay, when Moki PFP. So the art is in the works, so it's still going to be a few weeks at minimum. I know that they're being very picky about the art that comes, so stay tuned. But I know I just got a rainbow one with a lemon head. I'm so excited. Okay, a lot of people are asking for like an extent. It's, what is really funny, and I love it happens in our AMA comment section a lot, is that like one person will have an idea and then they'll say it maybe like a couple of times, and then it catches on like wildfire, and suddenly every single person has this crazy idea. The one that is blowing up today is increasing the energy bar from 1,000 to like 1,500 or something like that. and people are like, I'm willing to pay Pixel to like have a bigger energy capacity and whatnot. I think that's a pretty good idea, a decent utility for Pixel. So we love seeing ideas like that. Make sure you're throwing them in Canny, which is our feature request system. You can go on Discord, !feature request, and the link will pop up right there. I think it's feedback.pixels.xyz. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, someone brought up a good point too. And yeah, we already thought about this. So some people are withdrawing coins, some people are withdrawing Pixel to buy coins OTC. And yeah, that's an interesting behavior because yeah, we know that's happening. One, I actually really appreciate the coin OTC markets use Pixel. That is like a nice part of the ecosystem. But yeah, I would say that like you're actually probably a spender. And there's ways that we can determine if you are buying coins OTC. Like we can look at your trade deficit basically. So that's like some of the stuff that we're feeding into a model essentially. Like we know if you have more coins coming into your account, probably means that you're buying coins. And it means that you're like, honestly, probably somebody likely to like be using the coins in the game as well too. And then the other thing that we can do to separate the bot feeder accounts, because there's a certain type of collector account, right? How some of the bots work is they will have like 1,000 accounts, give them like 100 pixel each. It's 100K pixel. So like they have net pixel coming into that collector account, but there's so many accounts there. It's like a different behavior than a like real user buying coins OTC. It's like pretty easy to distinguish between the two. When are you going to take care of your most loyal users, the landowners, and fix their issues for real? So this game balance stuff that we're working on, like the short-term taskboard game balance, this is like what we're trying to address here. The tier 3 and the tier 4 resources are not balanced properly. And we're changing our approach to make sure that there's more reason to use tier 3 and tier 4 resources. So our hope is that this makes the land gameplay work better. Because we're missing on the land gameplay right now because there's no reason to use the land or the tier 3 and the tier 4 resources. The tier 3 and the tier 4 resources are very low value because there's too many of them inside of the game. And this is the stuff that we're trying to plug up. So we need a whole different approach to the task board, one that's going to reflect the coin value of these items much better than it does now, and be more adjustable that way too. So for example, we might have to do like initial buybacks of tier 3 and tier 4 resources also. Like it might make sense for us just to set aside like some pixel from the ecosystem pool specifically for tier 3 and tier 4 resource buybacks to like remove some of the stock initially. And then we can do a task for adjustment too. What I'll say is we think about this a lot. And yeah, this is the kind of stuff that we're doing now. Okay. More pixel is cool for the earning side of things. What about using pixel besides VIP? So yeah, that's what the team is thinking about a ton right now. We have a lot of stuff that we've been thinking about here for this is what I can say. Like we have a whole doc here. Should I share this? I feel like it's fine to share it because
look through it first.
I don't care. I'm just going for it. I mean, yeah, we have like a whole list of ideas here basically that we're going to be working on. And we've kind of optimized the stuff. So like some of this, like we can't do this until the game balance is right. Basically, like if the economic systems of the game don't work, then there's nothing to monetize off of. So there's some stuff here, so I can say. I want to show you proof of work. We think a lot about different ways you can use pixel inside of the game. Like none of this works if we don't have that. Ooh, this is a good idea. If you had Guild Wars, Luke, if you had Guild Wars, which is a great idea, it would be great to put a limit of players for each guild. For example, a guild selects their 10 best players and they all represent the guild. I like that idea. And that might actually lead to more guild diversity too. What we like is the idea of small guilds too. Like there are some large guilds inside of Pixels, but we want more people to join a guild. And it's not too expensive to join a guild right now. Like it should be like, you earn enough pixel to join a guild if you want to, is what I'll say. Like one day of playing and you can join a guild or start a guild if you wanted to even. That's a good idea. We'll definitely think about that. Oh, That was a good question. Will the new game be connected to the Pixel token? So anything that we do when we talk about future ecosystem plans, like all of this tech that we're thinking about, like it's all going to be using the Pixel token. Like this core tech that we're building around incentive design and basically earning distribution. Like this is the tech that we're building where if we build another game, we're using it in that second game too. And it's going to make the second game like blow up if we do that also. The second game is a long way away. It's like a year and a half to 2 years if we do that, right? So we're gonna do some acquisitions. Like we're gonna share our tech with anything that we do acquisitions with, and we're gonna do some smaller things. We do like a second first party title. That's a long way away. Like we're not even gonna start kicking it off until like 6 months to 12 months, because there's still a lot of stuff to figure out here first.
You guys are loving this AMA. That's awesome. I'm so glad. It's fun to come and like switch things up, do things a little differently occasionally. Sometimes you like it, sometimes you hate it, but it's good. And yeah, someone okay, you can address that. Hold on, give me a second. I just wanted to say someone said stop thinking and start doing, which is like kind of trust me, we do a lot. We work really hard. We work really fast. We have a reputation for it. But I will say, like, if you're coming to our AMAs every week, sometimes they are slightly repetitive. And that's just because we're coming here every single week. We're always here. We always show up. We love hanging out with you guys. We love discussing these things with you guys. And a lot of the things that we talk about, especially on AMAs like this one, are our thoughts, right? Like, okay, here's what we're thinking and why we're designing it this way, and tell us your feedback. Like this is a two-way street. That's why we're so active in the chat and bringing up all your questions. So we want to hear your feedback and all of that.
Yeah, and like, so what's cool about this audience inside of Pixels too is like there's players that just like to play, but there's also people that really like Web3, and that's why we like to talk about this stuff too, because we think that like if you like Web3 gaming, if you want to see it succeed, then these are the kind of things you need to be thinking about also. And maybe I'm wrong in this, but I think a lot of our audience is interested in that kind of stuff too. Like a lot of you guys are like kind of technical. Like a lot of you guys code. A lot of you people like have been in Web3 for a long time. Like most people are Web3 OGs that at least attend these AMAs. So like they like to get into the meat of it too. And like they ask us these questions all the time. This is why we talk about it too, because you guys are in the Discord being like, why don't you fix this? Why don't you fix that? And so this is our time to kind of address those questions too.
Totally.
Oh yeah, so somebody asked about almost everything in the market is negative profit. So right now the loop is, and there is some rebalancing and adjusting that we need to do. Like the more that you level up, the more profitable you're supposed to become when it comes to like coins, essentially. Yeah, I will say there's only so much pixel to go around too, though. So like you have to think about the economics of how this kind of stuff works too, and that's where the taskboard targeting comes into play a little bit also. But some people might be negative EV, but their skills increase, so like their earning potentials increase. There's like some interesting meta gameplay like that when you start to think about it too, where it's like you might have to accept like if I want to level up quicker, I'm going to be negative EV in the task board. If I want to focus on task board profit, then I'm not going to level up as much. Like there's some trade-offs we actually need you to make. That's like part of the gameplay also. So yeah, that's some stuff that we're tweaking, but I also say it's like semi-intended sometimes. Okay.
You should be able to join. It's discord.gg/pixels. So don't use any other links. Go, and if you want that, because it's hard to remember, go to our Twitter and go click on the links, official links, and go through there. Make sure you're joining the right one.
I like the idea of staking for energy regeneration rate. Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking about with staking too. Like in-game use, just like some fun stuff that make the gameplay experience better. Yeah, that's like the way that we're going to approach staking. And there might be other in-game benefits that we can do too. Energy is one that makes the gameplay experience better, increases play time. It's like a pretty easy one for us to do. Yeah.
Okay, someone asking about the Genkai hair issue again. Guys, I've been Look, I've been
People
bugging
really
their
care
team.
about that one.
I've been bugging their team constantly. So go bug them with me, okay? There you
What
go.
else?
Welcome. Albin Sakor.
Keep your filthy pixel. I just want to farm all day and upgrade my spec and house. Just want a loopable gameplay. Yeah, so there's a couple different players that we have to think about too. It's interesting because like we've actually established like a much larger audience in chapter 2 of this type of user. And what I can say is like for you hardcore pixel grinders, like this is probably the audience that is going to drive most of Pixel's growth and like route to sustainability. Like the Farmville type, right? Like there's our US audience has increased significantly over the last month, which is interesting. I think part of it was the Coinbase quest that we've done. And yeah, that's like a lot of their motivation. So what's cool is like there's different types of users that provide different forms of value inside of the ecosystem. Like a lot of the players who are more earn motivated, they show up. They're here in numbers and they make the game more fun for everybody. If the game was empty, like if you guys remember all the metaverse games in like 2021, they were all empty. Whenever you would walk into like a metaverse, you wouldn't see anybody, and it was supposed to be the metaverse. So having
confused by them. I'd go in and be like, "Wait, am I in the wrong
where's
place?
everyone?
Am I missing
Yeah,
something?"
I thought this was the metaverse. So Pixel's not empty, which is great. So the people who are more earn motivated, like we want you here because you make the game more fun for the people who might not be as earn motivated and want to play a farm game that want to upgrade house spec and kind of go in that kind of stuff. Yeah, in Zynga's game Farmville, they talked all about like rainbow cows all of the time. There's like a certain type of user that really likes to get the rare stuff and show off to all you all you other people. They talked about rainbow cows. That was like one of the craziest things in Farmville to have. If you had a rainbow cow, you were a top dog. And yeah, it's like a lot of the Web3 motivation too. Like a lot of you have awesome NFTs that you use as your avatars.
That makes me think of Club Penguin having like the dance floor in your little igloo.
Like, oh, I had that.
Yeah,
that months so as an 11-year-old. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Okay. And last question I want to answer. Winery future. So we have a plan for that. We're gonna transparently, we're bringing out a new game designer. We'll announce them in the next couple of weeks. This is something I want this new game designer to own. So we're going to pause this for just a little bit of time. And we're going to focus on the live ops instead. So we're going to do a guild contest in the short-term game balance, and some of these other like taskboard changes in the next like 4 weeks. So when that person comes on, this will probably be their first task to do, getting like new winery content out. It'll be like a good introduction to Pixels. They're a baller. I can't wait to introduce them when they join. And that's kind of the plan with that one. So sorry, we have to delay that one slightly, but we have other stuff we can do in the short term.
Okay, they're doing a giveaway in their stream. I actually clicked on this at first because I thought they said do a giveaway, and I was like, sure, we'll give away 1 3-month VIP coupon. But apparently Lou is doing it as well, so we'll both do it. And how I'm going to do it, you know how I'm going to do it? I'm going to randomly, I've got this really big scrolly thing. I'm going to do this on the chat, and then I'm going to click on a comment, and whoever's comment it is, you win. So you have to ping me in Discord because I'm not going to remember your YouTube. Are you ready? Are we ready? This is the most high-tech giveaway we've ever done. Okay. All right. James Johnson Cruz, you won a VIP coupon, so make sure you ping me in the community team on Discord, and then yeah, head over to Lou's stream because apparently he's doing it too. All right, that was fun. We can do those chaotic giveaways more often.
Yeah. Okay, sweet. Well, yeah, no, thanks for joining on this AMA, guys. Like this is a more technical one. But yeah, I want to go over the high level of like what we're doing here because I think this is important to talk about. This is the hardest part of Web3 in my opinion, and we're in a fortunate spot where we can actually go out and solve this now because we have the things that we need to be able to tackle this. So yeah, I mean, if you're in other Web3 gaming communities, ask them what they're doing about this kind of stuff because if they're not thinking about this, they're not talking about it. They should be. We're going to start to see more people talk about the fundamentals. If you see it also, the narrative inside of tokens in general is shifting, where fundamentals are starting to be respected a little bit more in the greater market. But yeah, when we think about what we want to be building, like we just want to build something that works. That's our focus. We want to build out systems that are going to work and like actually be around for years and years. We don't want to, we don't want to burn really hot and then, smolder out and die. So we're trying to build something and focus on the right things right now. So yeah, we laid out the game plan and we'll keep updating you guys on what we're going to do here. I think we can maybe get out some stuff next week that might move the needle a little bit. We'll update you guys on all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, hopefully we can get some balanced stuff out soon that makes tier 3 and tier 4 feel better. That's the highest priority. And all these other things are next too. When we do the guild war or the guild contest thing, I think it's gonna be awesome. You guys will have a ton of fun with that.
All right. I don't know where this came from, but anyways, awesome. This has been really fun, guys. So we will, we'll see you next Tuesday. We've got our X Space, then we have our AMA, and then we have a really fun energy party happening on Friday. It's actually a listening party. So Luke sat down with Gabby from YGG for a really great interview. I think I even make a tiny little pop-up appearance in the video, which will be really funny.
No, you do, yeah.
I'm really interested to see how they edited that in. So anyways, it will be a listening party on Friday, 7 a.m. Pacific, which it'll be posted. Okay, it'll be posted. But yeah, looking forward to all that. And it is not this Friday, it is next Friday. A week and a few days. But anyways, we will see you guys then. Bye, guys.